Yo, what's up, boys? Today I'm gonna show you guys how to make unique like ambient style melodies for Wheezy. Like always, loop down in the description below. Follow my Instagram at cubeatz, and yeah, here's the preview. Yeah, this melody's kind of weird. It's a little different, pretty ambient. It's got that cool like counter melody going. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna just break it down. But with a lot of ambient melodies, one of the best VSTs is definitely Omnisphere. Obviously it's a really popular VST, but there's still so many sounds in it and so many new packs coming out. You can really just get so creative with it. So I found this really weird sound called Chinese Mellotron and just made this. And pretty much to make this pattern, I kind of just followed up the scale. This is the root note, and then it just goes up. And all I did was just copy it up a whole octave and move it over to the side and take the velocities down. This way it's just a repeating pattern, but it's not too busy. That's why I turned the velocities down. And then in the ending, I just changed the notes up a little bit just so it didn't get too boring. And yeah, the sound before wasn't gonna be the main melody, so what I did is I added this little pattern right here. It looks a little complicated, but all it is just the same pattern pitched up an octave with the velocities down. The reason I like to do this is it will make the melody sound more full, but when you bring the velocities down, it just isn't too busy. And this pattern, pretty much how I came up with it, is I copied the same first part and then just kind of started experimenting with going down. It was really just following a scale. For some of these, they go longer than each other ones are shorter. It's really just trial and error. And then in the ending, I added this like tail at the end. It's in quarter step, with the whole melody is in third step. Cool about this is it will stick out to you, but it's still in key and in the same rhythm, even though it's a different number. The sound for that was from this Ferno bank called Synth Redox, one of my favorite banks, one of my favorite sounds, and yeah. And my favorite part of this melody is this counter melody right here, also from Omnisphere. I'll show you the sound in a second, but I pretty much just did the same thing. I did little triplet chords and I just took out the top note. It's still following the same scale, so as you can see, these fit in all here. It's all on the same scale, and this is what this sounds like. And this sound is called Backwards Cello from Omnisphere. Another thing I did is I went through the effects and I turned the delay down a little bit because it was a little too much. So as you can see, it's a little bit lower. What this is because I was going to add my own delay. Then just to finish things off, just in case the person making the beat wanted a little bass or like for an intro or something, I went into Omnisphere and got this turkey bass, and this is what it sounds like. Another thing I did is when I was arranging this, I had an automation clip because it was clicking at the beginning. So onto the effects, I did a little bit more in this melody than I do with my other ones. For the first sound, the Chinese Mellotron, I added a couple EQs. The main reason I did this was to take out some high end, because without it, this is what it sounds like. Then I added this Valhalla space modulator. It's kind of like a reverb and a mixing thing. I don't really know what it does, but I thought it sounded cool. And then I just took a ton of the frequencies out to make the sound a little bit more minimal. And all I did for this main part is just added a little bit of EQ. All I did was brought out some of the mid highs, and this just made it sound a little bit harder. Then for the weird robot sound, I added this chorus plugin called Magic Switch. It's a free plugin and I definitely recommend it. It just adds a cool vibe. Then I EQ'd some of the mids out and boosted the highs a little bit. Added a love filter, kind of like just a high cut. And then the last thing I did was I took the bass and took some of the lows out and some of the highs out just to balance it out a little bit more. But for arrangement, it looks pretty complicated. The main reason is I have two like main sections. One of them has no bass, the other one has a sub bass. This is just so the person arranging it can take out the bass without having to EQ it out and just like take out other parts of the melody. But pretty much I have the main section with one of the counter melodies playing. And then in the end, I started to add a little Mellotron. This is pretty much in place of like a brass sound, so it's called Blueberry Fields, also from Omnisphere. I took the same chords from the melody, did some triads right here too, and this is what I came up with. And then brought the bass down a little bit and then added a little tail in the end. When you're making ambient melodies and you don't want to mix styles, you can find similar sounds, but it's in a different genre. So ambient versus like the Wheezy brass type, you can use something like this instead. And then yeah, I took it out and just had just the main melody playing with all the little mini parts added. And yeah, for arrangement, keep it really simple. I threw in the stems in the end too. always add little gaps in between just because of the reverb. Then I took the main melody, pitched it up 1 octave, and yeah, that was it. So thank you guys for the support on the last video. Like I said, I'm really going to get out weekly videos now. You can download this loop in the description below. Don't forget to follow my Instagram at LoganKVHN. DM me if you want me to send you some samples. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.